McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop, Episode 16. The Lady in Disguise. September 25th, 1921. Continued. Ariana and I spent the next hour searching the pawn shop. We were sure we weren't alone. We'd come back from Ireland, a perfectly lovely day in Ireland, only to dodge a crowd in the street that was trying to murder me, and come upstairs to find today's newspaper laid out on our beds. We searched the whole pawn shop from top to bottom. We didn't find anyone. Ordinarily, Ariana is brighter, more optimistic than I am. But this time, she seemed just as chilled as I was. She opened a can of peaches, because she said she was hungry, and she sat nibbling a soft, slimy end of a peach. I was nervous, so I ate one with her. The nectar got all over my fingers, and I felt better. But how can you feel completely better after something like that? Diary, I felt sure we'd lost our only home. The presence of that paper had scared me to death. It couldn't be some bum who'd sneaked in here off the street. For one thing, bums don't leave newspapers lying around. They stuff them into their jackets. It's true. If I was a bum, I'd have a whole suit made out of newspapers. Personally, I consider it very practical of them. The point being, newspapers are a blessing when you need an extra winter coat. This one was crisp and unread, unruffled. Ergo, no bum. The paper also had my name on it. That's what gets me. It wasn't just an odd, passive-aggressive hint from management. Ooh, look, we found your hiding spot. Instead of calling the cops, we're just going to leave today's newspaper on your hidden beds and let you freak out until morning when we chuck you out. No, indeed. Management would have rolled up our bedding and, well, I was going to say tossed it outside, but all the bedding is from McGillicuddy and Murders, so they'd probably put it back on the shelves. So it was not a bum, and it was not management, and what I strongly suspect, it was someone who knows my name. Knows I, the fake murderer, am camped out behind this giant clock. The thought fills me with dread. Why not just report me to the police? Why leave a newspaper? It almost seems like a warning from a friend. Here, you're in danger. The police think you've murdered yet again. But what friend knows I'm here? It could, of course, be Mr. McGillicuddy. It could even be Noble James, if he is a friend, and if he survived his stab wound. Perhaps they want me to know about the new fake murder, so they crept in here and left a copy. But the newspaper's presence doesn't feel friendly. It's terrible news, and it's terrible news I would have learned on my own tomorrow. It feels less like a warning and more like a taunt. And if it's a taunt, then it means the night enthusiasts know I'm here, and they're waiting. For some reason, they're waiting, hovering over me like vultures, letting Ariana and I get acquainted, when all along, they're just waiting to spring forward and seize both of us. But in the meantime, they wanted to let me boil until I burst, like a frog. They've dropped the paper to say, see, we know where you are. Here's what we're doing to you. Sit tight. Diary, it's a little bit later, and Ariana's had an idea that soothed me. She pointed out that neither she nor I know very much about our magic powers and what they do. Since it's unlikely that the night enthusiasts could have found our nest and then neglected to strike, she thinks perhaps the paper magically appeared. It's true that I should know what's happening to me, and what the papers are saying about me. Perhaps the paper magically appeared when I needed it, through an unconscious summoning. Nothing like this has happened before, but there's a first time for everything. It's a good thought. It's a much better thought than the alternative, which is night enthusiasts. Well, Diary, it's almost 4 in the morning, and my head is throbbing. I'm going to go to bed. Ariana offered to keep watch, which I think is sweet, but I expect she'll nod off in a minute or two. The morning, if all goes well, we'll find us sound asleep right here. September 26th, 1921. I didn't sleep through until morning. I woke up about an hour later, at about 5 in the morning. It was still dark outside, and I shifted onto my back. The room felt strangely empty. Ariana's warmth and breathing were absent, so I patted the place where she usually lay. She wasn't there. I smacked around for her with my hands, which would have been very unpleasant if she had been there, getting walloped by a half-asleep Maude. But Ariana wasn't lying next to me. Our hiding place suddenly felt chilly and moon-swept, and I got up. My head was reeling with sleep, but I needed to find Ariana immediately. Perhaps she was only in the bathroom, but I feared the worst, after that newspaper. I couldn't bear the thought of her being taken away from me already. I stumbled out from behind the clock face and I hissed, "Ariana!" She appeared a few seconds later. She looked confused and concerned, her face lit blue from a weak moonbeam. "Maude, what?" I couldn't help it. I rushed for her and seized her with both arms. I picked her up off the ground in a fierce little hug. "Maude," she said breathlessly. "I'm sorry," I said. "I thought you'd been taken, that something bad had happened." I felt Ariana wilt a little in my arms. She was touched. She froze for a minute, and then she hugged me back, fiercely. "Maude, I'm sorry," she said. "I really am." She paused. "I really am." "It's all right," I said. She seemed crushed, somehow. I rubbed her arms. "Come on, you just gave me a scare." Ariana smiled. She tilted her head, then looked back at the dark pawn shop. "I thought I heard a noise, so I went to investigate. It's just the drain pipe dripping. We're right as rain." I smiled. Ariana continued to look guilty and sad. When we went back to bed, lying at right angles to each other, our pillows close, Ariana said to me, "Maude?" "What?" "You know, I think you're the best friend I've ever had." "Oh," I said, pleased. I heard Ariana nod fervently in the dark. I always kept to myself before. In some ways, people didn't want to be friends with me, and I was all right with that. But I think I didn't understand what having a friend was really like. And I'm sorry. "You're sorry?" I said, with a grin in my voice. "Oh, gosh, sorry, no, that's not what I meant." Ariana giggled. "I meant thank you." "I think, my dear," I said, "you've spent too much of your life apologizing." "Haven't we all?" That was last night. After the fearsome Ariana disappearance, we slept. This morning after breakfast, which was biscuits and cold sardines, which I hate, but Ariana said they'd be practical. Ariana read the newspaper. All about me. I hid in the next room. When she was finished, she called, "All right, you can come out now." My stomach had turned to jelly. I sincerely regretted the sardines. I tiptoed in, and Ariana looked grave. "What is it?" I said. "Just get it out. Tell me." "Well," Ariana said, Well, it isn't the murder that's troubling me. It's this bit here." "What bit?" I said. "Please, Ariana, for heaven's sake, tell me." She squinted down at the paper, then read aloud in a trembling voice. "We have reason to believe that Melinda Merkel is living in the city, disguised. Please be on the lookout for women who match her picture, wearing glasses, wigs, and even false noses." Ariana's voice trailed off. "They're tightening their noose around you, Maude." I sat down, feeling my heart crash through the floor. So they were. We hope you've enjoyed episode 16, The Lady in Disguise, of McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop. McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop is written and performed by Minerva Sweeney Wren, all rights reserved. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, and support Minerva Sweeney Wren at patreon.com/Sweeney Wren. McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop will continue next week with episode 17, Trapped.